So the next classified part of antimetabolite is purine antagonist. So here the structure of drug having similar kind of structure related with the purine structure. So wherein there is a purine it takes place, that is the adenine or guanine in the DNA or RNA synthesis. So instead of this structure, this modified part of the structure, that is the drug structure, is present in this DNA and RNA. So faulty DNA and faulty RNA is present. So it inhibits the synthesis of proper proteins. So the first that you should know what is the de novo synthesis. Okay, so after folic acid, tetrahydrofolic acid, then N5 formyl tetrahydrofolic acid, then after different steps the folic acid is converted into the inosinic acid. So this is the structure of inosinic acid. From inosinic acid there are two synthesis takes place. One is the synthesis of adenine, another one is the synthesis of guanine. So this inosinic acid, through this chain, it is converted into adenylic acid. So this is the adenine part, and through this xanthilic acid intermediate they are converted into guanylic acid. So this is the guanine part. So in this way, in the de novo synthesis after folic acid, different steps, it forms inosinic acid, and inosinic acid through two steps, that is through xanthilic acid it forms guanylic acid, and through adenyl acid it forms adenylic acid. So they are responsible for the synthesis of two purine bases. Okay, now the first drug, that is the 6-mercaptopurine. At the 6th position there is a mercapto group, that is the sulfur is present. So this drug is called as 6-mercaptopurine. If you eliminate this 6th position, so this part of the structure it is called as purine structure. Okay, which is actually present in the adenine and guanine. But when you are adding mercapto part, that is the sulfur part, so when it enters into the DNA synthesis, whenever there is purine is present, it consists of sulfur in that purine. So this 6-mercaptopurine, with the help of enzyme HGPRT, hypoxanthine guanine phosphoribosyl transferase. Okay, the sugar moiety is attached, that is the sugar moiety is attached takes place. So it is converted 6-mercaptopurine into 6-mercaptopurine monophosphate. So HGPRT plus kinase enzyme, it converts sugar moiety into the phosphorylated form. So 6-mercaptopurine monophosphate is formed. This 6-mercaptopurine monophosphate is also called as 6-thioinosinate. Here double bond O is present, it is called as inosinic acid. So instead of double bond O there is a presence of sulfur, so it is called as 6-thioinosinic acid. Okay, and this 6-thioinosinic acid, so it is responsible for the conversion into the adenylic acid as well as the guanylic acid. But due to the presence of this thio group, it does not convert it into adenylic acid as well as the guanylic acid. So there is no synthesis of adenine and guanine nitrogenase nucleotide bases takes place. As there is no synthesis of this, it will not enter into the DNA or RNA synthesis. So it inhibits the synthesis of DNA as well as the RNA. So this is the one of the metabolite product of 6-mercaptopurine, that is the methylation takes place, and this structure is called as 6-methyl thioinosinate. Then next drug 6-thioguanine. Okay, so this, if here double bond O is present, it becomes guanine group, but instead of guanine here having the sulfur, so it is called as 6-thioguanine. Similarly 6-thioguanine, it forms 6-thioguanine monophosphate with the help of enzyme HGPRT and kinase. So HGPRT is responsible for the addition of sugar moiety, kinase is responsible for the phosphorylation process. So HGPRT added sugar moiety, then phosphorylation takes place and it forms 6-thioguanine monophosphate. Then it forms diphosphate and ultimately it forms 6-thioguanine triphosphate. So this is 6-thioguanine triphosphate is enters into the synthesis of RNA or DNA, that is the nucleotide bases, where there is a presence of guanine. So instead of guanine they are having the 6-thioguanine triphosphate. So it forms a faulty RNA or faulty DNA, hence there is a inhibition of protein biosynthesis takes place. Okay, so this much about the anti-metabolite, anti-cancer agents. They are again, I will tell you again, classified into three types: antifolate agents, sorry, anti-metabolites, in that antifolate agents, purine antagonist and pyrimidine antagonist. Okay, next part of anti-metabolite agents, it is the pyrimidine antagonist. So the drug which having the similar kind of structure of pyrimidine, they comes under these categories. So they are mainly responsible for the synthesis of faulty cytosine, faulty uracil. Okay, so due to this faulty part, when it enters into the RNA and DNA synthesis, so in that RNA and DNA also they are having the similar kind of extra part which is present in the drug. Hence it will synthesize the RNA and DNA which are the false RNA, false DNA. So there is no conversion of this DNA or RNA into the protein synthesis. So the required material which is required for the growth of cell, that is they are in the form of proteins. If they are not synthesized, the cell growth does not take place and death of cell takes place. So the first drug is 5-fluorouracil. Okay, if you leave this part of 5-fluoro and if you observe this structure, that is the 1 2 3 4 5 and 6, if you observe this structure, if you left this 5 part substitution fluorine, the other part is uracil part, and this uracil part, it actually enters into the synthesis of RNA. So when we are attaching fluorine group at 5th position, so the drug becomes 5-fluorouracil. So it having the different structure as compared to the uracil. So when it enters into the DNA or RNA synthesis, instead of uracil you will get 5-fluorouracil at each point. Okay, and as I have told, this does not enter into the DNA or RNA synthesis directly. First they have to convert it into the triphosphate form, then only they can enter into the DNA and RNA synthesis. So 5-fluorouracil is converted into 5-fluorodeoxyuridine. What is deoxyuridine? A sugar moiety is attached to them, and at sugar moiety the hydroxy group is missing, that is the deoxyuridine. So enzyme HGPRT, hypoxanthine guanine phosphoribosyl transferase, HGPRT, this enzyme is responsible to carry out the first step of the reaction, that is the addition of sugar moiety to the drug 5-fluorouracil. Now you can observe that at this hydroxy position, when the enzyme kinase comes into the part, this hydroxy group, it is converted into the phosphate group. Okay, that is the kinase enzyme. Again kinase enzyme, it converted into the diphosphate, then triphosphate. So here what happens, this phosphorylation part, that is a single phosphate, it is called as 5-phosphodeoxyuridine monophosphate. Okay, then actually this thymidine synthase is convert this 5-fluorodeoxyuridine monophosphate into intermediate and finally into the triphosphate. But due to this extra fluorescent part which is present in the structure, this thymidine synthetase, it is not converted into DTMP. What is the role of thymidine synthase? It converts this 5-fluorodeoxyuridine monophosphate into the deoxythymine monophosphate. So uracil is converted into the thymidine. Okay, so that is the role of this thymidylate synthase, that is the synthesis of thymidylate. But when uracil monophosphate is present, it can easily converted into this triphosphate. Suppose uracil monophosphate is there, so it converted into the thymidylate synthase into the TMP, that is the thymidine monophosphate. Okay, then it is converted into biphosphate, and finally it is converted into triphosphate. But here, due to the extra fluorine part in the structure, it is not converted into the thymidylene monophosphate, and hence finally we are not getting the synthesis of thymidine monophosphate. Okay, so in this way, this fluoro group is responsible to inhibit the synthesis of thymidine. That means it inhibits the thymidylene synthetase inhibitor. So 5-fluorouracil, it is converted into deoxyuridine with the help of HGPRT, which added the sugar moiety. Then it is converted into the phosphorylation process to the monophosphate. And actually in the process of de novo synthesis, this uridine monophosphate, it converted into thymidine monophosphate. But here extra fluorine group is present, so they are not allow the conversion of uridine monophosphate into the thymidine monophosphate. So inhibition of thymidine monophosphate takes place, so there is no diamidine diphosphate, no triphosphate, so this thymidine is not enters into the synthesis of DNA or RNA. Hence actually it is the D means deoxy, so they not enters into the synthesis of DNA. Hence what happens? The DNA synthesis does not takes place. So 5-fluorouracil inhibit the DNA synthesis, as well as they are the inhibitor of enzyme thymidylate synthetase. So that is the 5-fluorouracil. Now next drug, that is the azacitidine. If you check the structure, suppose instead of nitrogen there is a carbon is present, then the whole structure becomes cytidine. So that is the cytosine part, and this is the sugar moiety attached to the cytosine part, so that part becomes cytidine. Okay, but due to the extra nitrogen which is present in the structure, that part is called as azacitidine. So it is the drug. So cytidine is present, it enters into the synthesis of DNA and RNA. Azacitidine is present, it having the extra nitrogen in the ring structure, so it becomes the drug. So they having the similar mechanism, it undergo monophosphate, biphosphate, then triphosphate. This triphosphate, azacitidine triphosphate, it enters into the synthesis of DNA or RNA. Here ribosugar is present, so generally it enters into the synthesis of RNA, and there it forms a false RNA. So due to the false RNA, the protein biosynthesis does not takes place. Now next drug, that is the Ara-C. It is also called as cytarabine. Here what happens, this is the cytosine, but this sugar part is called as urbinose sugar. Actually this hydroxy group is present at the bottom side for the ribose sugar, but it is present at the above side. So this hydroxy they having the opposite plane, hence such structure they are called as urbinose sugar. That is, they having the 2' hydroxy having beta configuration instead of alpha configuration, so it is called as the cytarabine or Ara-C. Similarly, as other drugs, this cytarabine or Ara-C, it undergo phosphorylation of this process again to diphosphate, then triphosphate, and it is converted into ara-cytosine triphosphate. These parts enter into the DNA or RNA synthesis. So when it enters into the DNA or RNA synthesis, it forms a false DNA or false RNA, because where there is a cytosine is present or cytosine triphosphate is present, at that position instead of cytosine triphosphate you are getting urbinose cytosine triphosphate, that is the ARA-CTP, that is the modified part of the cytosine triphosphate. So it will not form a proper DNA or proper RNA. So due to the faulty DNA or faulty RNA, the protein biosynthesis is inhibited. So that is the mechanism and activation of urbinose urbinose sugar, which is present here as a drug, is called as Arasi, or it is called as cytarabine. Okay, we will now start with the next class of the anti-cancer agents, that is the antibiotic. So antibiotics which are derived from the microorganisms, they can also act as the anti-cancer agents. Okay, so there are some natural resources from which anti-cancer agents can be derived. One of these is the antibiotic which are derived from microbial sources, and another one is the plants. You can derive some anti-cancer agents from the plant, which are the active constituents of the plant. They may act as the anti-cancer agents. They are both responsible to inhibit the multiple growth of or the uncontrolled growth of the cell. But their main function or the main mechanism of action behind these antibiotics is that they disrupt DNA function and the cell division. So that is the primary action or the primary mechanism of action of these anti-cancer agents. Generally, these antibiotics, they act or they are responsible to target the DNA, to damage the DNA, so that the control growth can be takes place or uncontrolled growth of cell can be inhibited. And this damage of the DNA, it can be done by three mechanisms. One is the intercalation, second one is the alkylation, and third one is the breaking of strand, that's the DNA or RNA strand, directly or as a result of inhibition. So all these three mechanisms by which the antibiotics can act as the anti-cancer agents. So what is the aim of these agents? To disrupt the or to inhibit the uncontrolled growth. And if you have to inhibit the uncontrolled growth, you have to stop the mechanism by which the machineries which are required for the growth of cell is synthesized. So protein biosynthesis is the process by which they can responsible to synthesize more amount of proteins which are required for the growth of cells. If we inhibit that step, that is the protein biosynthesis, ultimately the proteins which are required or the machinery, the enzyme which are required for the growth of the cell or the cancerous cell, it will not form. Okay, and so to inhibit this protein biosynthesis, we have to inhibit the DNA or RNA so that they cannot be converted into the proteins. Okay, so in the intercalation, as we have already studied in the organic chemistry, that is the intercalation or the intercalators. So what they are done? So intercalation, these are the agents which fit themselves in between the two nitrogenous bases. Suppose this is the DNA. So here is one nitrogen base, here is one nitrogen base. So what happens? These intercalators or the drugs that intercalate, they are also the molecules or the compounds. What they do in between these and these nitrogen bases, they comes in between these two nitrogen bases. And when they comes into these nitrogen bases, this base somewhat moves upward side, this base somewhat move downward side. So the distance between the nitrogen bases increases, and when the distance between these two nitrogen bases increases, the all the distance between the nitrogen bases which are present above and below this intercalator, that it changes. And due to the change in the distance, the stability of the DNA decreases or it loss. And due to this losing of this stability, the breaking of DNA takes place. So that is the function of the intercalator. Okay, for the intercalator, the drug must consist of a planar aromatic or heteroaromatic ring system, so that it can be slip into the double helix of the DNA and they can distort its structure. So generally they induce a cavity between the base pairs. Okay, So they intercalator, they fit themselves between the base pair of DNA, and due to the fitting between these two base pairs, the distance between these nitrogen bases, it will increase, and overall the stability of DNA decrease and the breaking of DNA takes place. So that is the intercalation. Okay. Another one is that they can inhibit the enzyme topoisomerase and the DNA gyrase. These are the responsible drugs, which are enzymes which are responsible for the unwinding and relaxation of DNA so that transcription can occur. If the drug inhibit topoisomerase and DNA gyrase, so there is no unwinding or relaxation of DNA. So transcription, it will not take place. If transcription will not take place, there is no translation, there is no protein biosynthesis. So the drugs which are responsible for these uh, proteins which are responsible for the growth of cell, it cannot be synthesized. Okay, so these are the mechanisms by which these antibiotics generally works: by breaking of DNA strands, second one by breaking the from enzymes, then intercalation, as well as the by alkylating the DNA. Okay, so these anti-tumor antibiotic agents, they are classified into three types. First one is the anthracycline, which doxorubicin and daunorubicin, these are the examples. Second one is the actinomycin. They are also called as chromomycin. For example, dactinomycin or actinomycin D. So that is the example for this one. And the third one is the miscellaneous. In that, the example bleomycin comes in this miscellaneous part. Now we will move to the first one, that is the anthracycline, the doxorubicin, daunorubicin. These are the two examples of these anthracyclines. So these the doxorubicins, these are and the daunorubicin, these are the group of naturally occurring antibiotics called as anthracycline. Okay, and they are isolated from Streptomyces pestis. It is very similar to the structure daunorubicin. So if you go through the structure of daunorubicin and doxorubicin, that very similar. Okay, here CH2OH takes place, here only CH3 takes place. That is one hydroxy group at C9 acetyl group, and this in the doxorubicin daunorubicin. That is the difference between the structure of these two. Here CH2OH takes place at the 9 position, here only CH3 takes place. So that is the difference between the doxorubicin and daunorubicin, which are the anthracycline antibiotics. So they responsible, as we have already told, they have the mechanism by intercalation as well as they produces the activity by the alkylation. Okay, so what it does, they enters into the electron transport chain, or you can see it is called the ETC. And during the ETC, what happens? Oxygen is converted into the oxygen radical. Then at the end, it is converted into hydroxy radical. And this hydroxy radical is responsible for the damage to the DNA. Okay, so it is the radical damage of the DNA or breaking of DNA strand takes place due to these hydroxy radicals. So when they are enters into the electron transport chain, this reaction occurs. Semiquinone to the quinone, again quinone to semiquinone. So that is the cycle takes place, and during that cycle, the oxygen radicals are formed. At the end, these oxygen radicals, along with the hydrogen, they are forming hydroxy radicals, and these hydroxy radicals is responsible for the damage to the DNA. Next one, they can act by the DNA intercalation. That is what we have seen. So these are the two nitrogenous bases. This is one nitrogen base, this is two. So this drug, it slip inside between these two nitrogenous bases, and due to the slipping between two nitrogenous bases, this part move upward side, this part move downward side. So the distance between these two nitrogenous bases decreases, the stability decreases, and the DNA strand breaks. The main side effects along with the anthracycline, that is these two drugs, doxo and dauno, it is that they produces the cardiotoxicity. That is the main side effect. Why they are? Due to the free radical formation in the heart. So what we have seen, they forms hydroxy free radicals. Okay, so these hydroxy free radicals, they are responsible for the attacking to the cells of the heart, that is the cardiocytes. And this formation or the free radical formation in the heart, they are responsible to produce cardiotoxicity. So these are some extravasation injury by doxorubicin. These are the side effects. Okay, vessels मधनं जे फ्लुइड आहे ते बाहेर येतं, that is the extravasation injury by doxorubicin. So next one is the natural anti-cancer agent. In that the example is bleomycin. So the highlight of structure is there for your syllabus. Actually, the bleomycin, that is the whole structure of bleomycin, which consists of important three parts. Okay, this is what you are getting. It is the carbohydrate or sugar moiety. This part it binds to the DNA. In the bleomycin, the R part is the this part NHCH3 2 SCH3 2 plus. So they are DNA binding domains. They can bind to the DNA, and this is the metal binding domain. Okay, so they responsible for the formation of binding to the metals and the different DNAs, and they are responsible for the disruption of the DNA. Next one is the erythrocaine, topotecan. So these are the structures. Then vinca alkaloids, vincristine, vinblastine, they are synthesized from vinca alkaloids. Okay. So these are some important parts. You should know the structure, the mechanism of action, and other parts or the detailed studies of these drugs are not there for your syllabus. Then taxane derivatives, that is the paclitaxel, docetaxel. These are also the naturally occurring antibiotics derived from plants. Okay.